Welcome back. So in this lecture, you're gonna learn how to do detailed targeting, and that is where we really go into the details and we look at the deeper demographics of our audience, their interests and their behavior so that we can really match our targeted audience, that is the people who wants to buy our products or services. Let's dive into it. All right, so all we need to do is scroll down and we're going to see detailed targeting. Here we are, and for you it's going to say edit to the right here, just like this little button. It's just that I clicked on it beforehand. I took the liberty to do so, so this is what is going to look for you too once you click on it. So what we're going to do now is that we're going to start matching with people who matches the behaviors and the interests that we add in, right? So we have an e-commerce store, right? It's called rnjdeals.com. And what we are looking to sell from our rnjdeals.com is this one, the couples distance bracelets, right? So our goal right now is to look at, okay, what sort of people would buy a couples distance bracelet? Now, you can never set up your detailed targeting without properly knowing what it is that you're trying to market or what you're trying to sell, right? So what we're going to do is that we're going to try to figure out what sort of person would buy a couples distance bracelet, and at the same time we're going to keep an eye on the potential reach here, right? Right now it's at 110 million people. This, the detailed targeting space, is our chance to move this down to between 100,000 and 1 million people and try to match that sweet spot of about 500,000 people. All right, so the first thing that you can do here is that you can click on browse, and what you see are demographics, interest and behaviors, and you can choose whatever is going to fit your product or service. So if I click on demographics, we can match people. Well, we already did some demographics, right, by age and gender, but now we can go deeper. We can match someone's educational level, financial level, specific life events, if they are parents, if they're in a relationship or not, what type of relationship, what type of work they have, etc. Similarly, we can do it with interest. We can choose any sort of interest and even go into family and relationships, and we can go into behaviors as well. Are they digital activities? Are they expats? Are they mobile users? Are they celebrating some type of anniversary, etc.? So what I'm going to do now for this specific product is that, okay, what type of people would buy a couples distance bracelet? The first thing that comes to my mind, and I'm just going to search for it, are people who are in a long distance relationship. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to search for long distance relationship, just like that, and see what I get. So as you can see, I'm getting two long distance relationships here. And one is demographics. And as you can see, the demographic has 10 million people in it. That means that these are people who are in a long distance relationship. Now below, we have long distance relationship with 3 million people in it, and it is put in interest, as you can see here to the right, interest. So that means that these are the people who have expressed a liking to long distance relationship, usually by liking a page that has to do with or is about specifically long distance relationships. So what we are going to do here is that we are going to use both, right? Because first of all, people who are in a long distance relationship are very likely to buy this sort of item. But also, people who like pages that are called long distance relationships, they are more dedicated people. They're more dedicated to their cause of long distance relationships. So that means that they're also more likely to buy. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to add them both. Long distance relationship. And then add in this one as well. Now, what you could also do once you've added something in is that you can go and click on suggestions. Now, suggestions is going to be other, for example, interests, it could be demographics or behavioral relationship status, etc., that are similar to what you just added. So if you're looking to add something similar, you just click on suggestions and you can add that one in. Now, I want you to look to the right here, because you can see that the potential reach has actually changed. It's down to 1.5 million people right now. And also, since we've added two things in, I want to show you something. So if I would only have one thing in here, then we would have 1.1 million people. But if I add in the other long distance relationship now, I'm going to get 1.5 million people, because now we are targeting people who are either in a long distance relationship or people who like long distance relationships, right? So when we want to be more detailed in our targeting, we're going to use a button right down here that says narrow audience. So narrow audience means that now whatever we add in, they are going to have one of these to either be in a long distance relationship or like long distance relationship and match with this one, right? So whenever they are in the same box, they just have to match one of them. But then when you click on the button that says narrow and you add a new box, they always have to match with that box too, all right? So all of the boxes always have to match. And when there are multiple things in these boxes, they only have to match one of them. So in order for me to get an inspiration to, okay, who is going to buy the couples distance bracelets, what I could do is go to Google and I could search for couples distance bracelets, just like this, and see what pops up. Now, one of the first things that pops up here is Amazon. Okay, Amazon is selling distance bracelets. We have distancebracelets.com, we have uncommongoods.com, and then we have Etsy.com, and they have distance bracelets as well. And Etsy, and they even have long distance relationship bracelets. So Etsy clearly is a shop where a lot of people do shop, especially as an online shop. So what we could do for our targeting is that we could go with long distance relationships, either being in one or liking in one, and must also match. We could search for Etsy, just like this, and we have to make sure we pick the right one. The first one says employers. Those are people employed at Etsy. But down below here is the interest, people who really like the company Etsy. Now, and if you're ever curious about the other ones, just check out the numbers. So for example, down here it says Etsy shop, but it only has 62,000 people. This one has 52 million, so this is probably going to be the right one. So we're going to select Etsy and now look at what happens to the potential reach. It goes from 1.5 million to 390,000 people. All right. So this could actually be our detailed targeting because, like I said once again, this is our last stop usually to change the potential reach. So this is where we want to be between 100,000 and 1 million, close to 500,000. So this would be a possible targeting, and we're quite straight on now because the way that we have done our thinking is people who are going to buy this item are going to be or like a long distance relationship, and they also have a shopping behavior. That is why we added Etsy, because that is a store that this kind of people shop at, because they're selling similar items and it is an online store, so that means they have an online shopping behavior. So this is the psychology we're using to find who we are targeting. This is why it's so important that we understand our market research, so we understand who we are targeting. Now, another way that we could do this, for example, could be that we could remove Etsy. Now we're back to 1.5 million, and we could do another targeting. We could say, let's add in engaged shopper. Now, engaged shopper is a behavior. So it says people, you can see in the description to the right, people who have clicked on the call to action button shop now in the past week. And I think that this is one of the most powerful behaviors you can add when you're doing your ads, you're trying to sell something. So by adding this one, we go from 1.5 million to 750,000, okay? Because now we're specifically targeting people who are in or like long distance relationships and who also are engaged shoppers. They have a shopping behavior, all right? So in order to narrow it down even further, we can click on narrow further, and now we could add in, for example, online shopping. So as you can see, online shopping has 1.5 billion people in it. So we're going to add that in, and then we go for 750,000 to 690,000. So those are people who enjoy online shopping. And of course, those are the kind of people we want to target. Now, to make this even more specific and lower this even further a little, we might think, okay, so who are the people who are most likely to buy this kind of couples distance bracelets? Well, first of all, it's probably going to be young people who want to express their love. And if we're going to include young people who want to express their love, it makes sense that we might want to exclude married people, right? Because married people, most of the case, have been together for a while, and they usually are not as interested in having such a bracelet because they already have a ring on their finger. Right? But when you're not married, you might not have a ring on your finger, and you might have this bracelet instead, especially when you are in a distance relationship. So what you could do is click on exclude people down here, and now we just write in married. and then it says marriage, and I'm going to add that in and then look at what happens to the potential reach. We go from 690,000 people to 430,000 people. So now we become even more specific. And to summarize this, I'm quite happy with this one. What we could also do, and we're going to learn this more as we go along in the course, is that we could create multiple ad sets that has different targetings, and then let some time pass and we can see which one works the best. The one where we use to engage shoppers and online shopping, or the one where we are targeting Etsy. Right? So we always have to look at the data to understand which one is going to work the best. And whenever you're selling a product and you don't know where to target, you can go to Google and look up certain stores and see if you can target those stores. That's usually a great way to do it. So remember, to be successful in your detailed targeting, you need to get into the mind of who you are selling to. So for example, if you were selling dog accessories, maybe a dog necklace, if you would target people who, for example, would be into dogs, for example, let's say dog lovers, well, that doesn't mean that they are dog owners. So that doesn't mean that they have any form of interest whatsoever to buy your dog necklace. So don't target dog lovers. A smarter targeting would be to target people who buy dog food, because only the people who owns a dog are going to be buying dog food, right? So that would be the more clever way of targeting people who owns a dog and who would be more interested in buying a dog necklace. So we always have to get into the psychology of what kind of person is this, and does this mean that this person is interested in buying what I have to offer? So once we're done with our detailed targeting, we're going to scroll down, and there is something here that says detailed targeting expansion. Now what that is that reach people beyond your detailed targeting selection when it's likely to improve performance. So if you look at our potential reach right now, it's 430,000 people. But if I click on the detailed targeting expansion, it moves up to 3.3 million people. So this messes up everything that we're trying to accomplish. Basically, by using this, we're giving Facebook more control and we're messing up our own data. So never use the detailed targeting expansion. Make sure that you do your own targeting, do it specifically, and then gather your own data. Try to give Facebook as little control as possible. Alright, so that is the section on detailed targeting. It's quite a big one, and this is where you really get into the psychology of things. Once we're done, we just continue and scroll down, and we're going to move on to languages and go through that in the next lecture. So see you in the next lecture.